All right, welcome into SportsBIT Betting Insight today, Thursday, May 26th. Pauly and Teddy, big game breakdown. Of course, going to be OKC and the Warriors, Cardinals and the Nationals, and then we'll get to deep dive part 3 gambling stories, plus the play of the day. We start with bad bets, another blowout in Cleveland. Cavs led by 31 at the half. That was a conference finals record. They win by 38. They beat up Toronto on the boards. The big three was great in the first half. And, here's all you need to know. Breen, Jackson, and Van Gundy were talking about their favorite TV shows of all time in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they could have done it in the first quarter because the Raptors never showed, Pauly.
Yeah.
Toronto led 7-6, and then it was 17-7. It was 11-0 Cleveland run, and I swear it felt over right there and then. Midway through the first quarter, I think it was about the 5-6 minute mark of the first quarter. Let's give Cleveland credit. They responded well to adversity, or at least they hit some shots. And I used 3-quarter numbers for the purpose of this ball game instead of fourth quarter. Because not that the third quarter wasn't garbage time, but the fourth quarter was truly the end of the bench, guys. So, the Cavs shoot 62% through 3 quarters, and most notably, only 16 of their 60 shot attempts came from three-point range. We talked about how they took more than half of their shots from three-point range in Toronto, not being aggressive, bringing the ball to the basket. That was certainly not the case tonight. Of course, rebounds after 3 quarters, it was 34-15 in favor of Cleveland. Toronto had 1 on the offensive glass. Biyombo, we talked about him, how he can't do anything south of the border.
Yep.
4 rebounds, a complete non-factor. And, Dwayne Casey waved the white flag after halftime, but Lowry and DeRozan still played more minutes than any other Toronto players. Those are 2 guys who the minutes have really added up here in the postseason. I worry about their fatigue levels for game number 6, despite the short outing in game 5.
What do you think if there is a game 7, what do you think that number would be? The Cavs have won the first 3 games by a combined 88 points?
The markets won't react to that at all.
Okay.
The number will be right where it was in game 5. It'll be right in that 11 and a half range for game 7, barring injury, of course. But, even if Toronto wins by 50 in game 6 back at home, we'll still see the Cavs as double-digit chalk and wins in game 7.
Yep. Well, you got to talk about the under again too. If you had the over, rather, it was sitting on 160 after 3 quarters. The game died again. It was high as 210 in-game wagering. They scored 34 points in the fourth quarter. They scored 13 points combined in the final 5 minutes and 31 seconds. It opened 196. Plus, there was a jump shot with 22 seconds left that put the second half over. But again, game completely dies in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, you should be getting used to this right now, Paul. We've talked about this literally in, the 5th game of the series? I think in 4 of the 5 games we talked about how the scoring has died in the fourth quarter, because it has. I can't really call this one a bad beat. That's what playoff blowouts are supposed to look like in the fourth quarter, especially playoff blowouts deep into a series where all you want to do is get the game over. It doesn't matter if you're on the winning side, you're on the losing side. You're using your back end of the bench guys. The pace is supposed to slow to a crawl in those type of situations, Paul. But that being said, yeah, you got $160 after 3. You had a beautiful middle setup for that in-game total, and didn't quite get there for you. Pretty frustrating.
Didn't quite get there. It's like 13 points in the final 5:31. I couldn't believe it. Nobody could make a shot. More bad bets. How about more bad beats, rather. How about the Cardinals? They rock Arrieta. He gives up 4 runs. Game goes over in the second inning, and they lose 9-8.
Yeah, that's brutal. You finally get to Arrieta. Worst start of the year. We're starting like a year and a half for Arrieta. He gets hammered. The Cubs bullpen gets hammered behind him. And the Cubs score 5 in the second with 2 outs, and they find a way to win anyway. Brutal. You get to Arrieta, you still don't cash your anti-Arrieta ticket.
And they tie the record, 23 straight starts where they've won with Arrieta on the mound. How about Tampa? $1.45, bet up to $2.25.
Yeah, that's silliness. At least part of that came on the announcement that Giancarlo Stanton was going to sit out. If you've been watching SportsBIT or paying any attention, you know that Giancarlo Stanton has been one of the worst hitters in baseball over the last 3 weeks. But what do markets do, Pauly? They knee-jerk on news. It's just, Stanton out, boom, the bets come in. If you have more intimate knowledge of what's going on, if you've been watching SportsBIT, you can ignore some of the knee jerks and react appropriately. Of course, the Marlins won that game without Stanton 4-3. But the truth of it, Tampa, without Logan Forsythe, without Kevin Kiermaier, they didn't have Alex Colomb available. They shouldn't have been more than $1.60 against anyone, not even Minnesota. They're not that good without the three of their best players. And the market's underreacting to some injury news, overreacting to the marquee players being hurt or missing a game, even when those marquee players are ice cold.
One more bad bet. Bye-bye to the Blues. This is what they do. They lose Game 6, 5-2 in San Jose. Sharks led 4-0 in the third before the Blues tried to make it interesting. The Sharks, their first trip to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't St. Louis always lose games like this, lose series like this? The history of the Blues is one, but we came up short after the next.
Yes. Is this a bad beat? There was a robbery here in Las Vegas at the Hooters Casino Sportsbook.
Yeah, I was trying to decide if this is going to be a bad beat or a bad bet. So we had a guy walking into it's a William Hill Sportsbook at the Hooters Hotel and Casino here in Las Vegas, right on Tropicana, across from the MGM, next to the Trop Hotel and Casino. And someone walked in on Monday night. This guy just pulled a piece and absconded with an undisclosed amount of money, got away. And my initial reaction was, hey, who's robbing us? The William Hill book at the Hooters. That's not a busy book. That's got to be a bad bet when you're going in there. Oh, what are you doing? Well, no, I don't know if it's a bad bet. Thinking about it, it's probably a good robbing decision. There's not many witnesses, It's not one of the busier sportsbook in town. And you got that easy exit right out of the sportsbook into the parking garage. You can go right and get on Trop and mix in with traffic. You can go left and go out the back way and get through the alleyway. Probably a good decision. My money says they never catch that guy. And it wasn't me, Paul. Was it you?
No, well, I was tied up. My favorite was what happened a couple of years ago at the Bellagio, where the guy came in on a motorcycle and he had his helmet on, and he took a bunch of chips.
He swiped them off the table, yeah.
They never would have got him, but he bragged about it at the poker table 2 days later. Idiots.
Yeah, well, your biggest enemy in those situations is often yourself.
Yeah. Can we? One more here. Little football. Can we finally pay these kids? Enough's enough. UCLA signs a 15-year, $280 million deal with Under Armour. This first came up when Leinart and Bush had the top-selling jerseys when they were at USC. I can't believe they won't even give those kids the money for selling jerseys, and now you see what's going on. What a staggering number, staggering amount when we're talking with this UCLA deal.
I was in Ann Arbor when the Fab Five were in town.
Oh, very good.
Right. And I know how much merchandise flew off the shelves. And everybody in Ann Arbor was wearing a Weber jersey or a Rose jersey or a Juwan jersey or, Jimmy King jerseys were selling, everybody. All right. And I'm telling you for a fact, this is before Weber got the money. They were broke. They were flat out broke. These kids didn't have a dime. All right. So here's UCLA. They're signing a $280 million deal. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just what Under Armour is paying them to wear the uniforms. I mean, the upside is that UCLA won't have to wear the ugliest uniforms in the nation like they did last year.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that picture. Those are some ugly uniforms. This year's should look better. But let's not forget, when schools change uniforms, they get a huge spike in merchandise sales. None of the fans, none of the students, none of the alums have any of it. So not only do they get the big check from Under Armour, they also get the merchandising sales on top of it. The kids don't get a dime, and the NCAA rips them off. Just one more way where kids are getting hosed while everybody else around them gets rich.
Yep. Well said there. Just a disgrace. Up next, big game breakdown. We start with Game 5. Can the Warriors send it back to OKC? On SportsBIT, betting insight today.
Find the best tennis odds for each Grand Slam event. Research before you bet on sportsbookreview.com.
Time for big game breakdown. Remember, live odds, go to sportsbookreview.com. Game 5, OKC and the Warriors tonight. Warriors 7.5, 220.5 the total. Only 9 of 232 teams down 3-1 have come back to win. 5 since 1981. Well, it happened last year, though, so there's hope for Golden State. The Rockets were down 3-1 to the Clippers in the Western Conference semis, and they won Game 5 and Game 7 at home. Game 6, remember that. The Clippers blew a 19-point third quarter lead. That's just one of the big ones there, Teddy, is that one. The Clippers just choked that one away.
Yeah, and I mean, Steve Kerr is talking about the fact that only 9 teams have ever come back from a 3-1 deficit in an NBA series. And like you said, only 5 in the modern era, the last 35 years. But Kerr's quote, "We are the defending champs." Most teams that were down 3-1 in the conference finals, I'm guessing, weren't the defending champs. We feel very confident. Now, again, when you look at the modern era, you talked about what happened last year with the Rockets coming back from 3-1. We had the 2006 Phoenix Suns in the first round coming back against the Lakers. The 2003 Pistons trailed the Magic. But they were also a team that enjoyed a home court edge. And they won the next round as well before losing in the conference finals. The 97 Heat, they beat the Knicks in the Eastern Conference semifinals, but lost in the conference finals. The only one of these teams that, in my mind, has any resemblance to this year's Golden State Warriors was the 95 Houston Rockets. They won the title the year before. They had the resemblance was not regular season wise. The Rockets were a 6th seed when they won the title the second year in 95 after a very mediocre regular season. But they were playoff tested. They rallied from that 3-1 deficit to defeat the Suns in the semis, and then they went on to win their second straight title. But really, Pauly, when we're talking about teams that have done this before that look like Golden State, there's not a whole lot of them to talk about.
Yeah, we both have OKC 18-1 in our pocket to win the West. Are you going to maybe take a little bit on Golden State? I couldn't believe the series price yesterday. I saw Golden State as low as plus 215 on the takeback to win the series. That's Nick Bogdanovich at William Hill told me it's been nothing but Thunder money.
Yeah, that's no surprise. I mean, OKC has been clearly the better team in this series. Golden State player had 1 good game. OKC's had 3. That being said, again, if the Warriors win Game 5, all the pressure's on OKC to close out in Game 6.
Agreed.
And it's not a situation where we're talking about the impossible. It's not that Golden State has to win 2 on the road. They have to win 1 on the road. It's obviously one of the strongest home courts in the history of the NBA. So while I understand the OKC money, I also understand why the markets didn't go nuts and put Golden State in as a huge underdog here. They're not. At least not in my opinion, Paul.
Okay.
When it comes to the hedging question,
yep.
No, I'm not touching. In Game 5, I don't touch it.
Okay.
After Game 5, I'll think about it. But I'm not in position where that wager is in any chance of being in jeopardy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no jeopardy in Game 5. If Oklahoma City loses, then we start to think about what we might want to do for Game 6. But nothing. That ticket stays in my pocket. And frankly, I don't know that I'm going to do anything with it. I think I will hold on to that ticket and not even hedge off any of it. It wasn't a huge bet for me, a modest-sized bet, but the chances are I'm not going to like the price that I see on the Warriors to hedge off it. I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, that's what I said yesterday when I saw the series price. Look at this graphic. What were the odds of these numbers happening? Plus minus per 48 last 2 games. Green minus 50. Thompson minus 49.4. Curry minus 40.5. Westbrook plus 44.6. Durant plus 38.2. You got to be kidding me. And Westbrook has made it look easy, not just getting past Golden State defenders to score, but he's handed out 23 assists, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, the difference in this series is that the Thunder superstars have played like superstars and the Warriors superstars haven't. Steph Curry hasn't had a good series. Draymond Green has had a terrible series. We'll talk about him in just a minute. And Klay Thompson, I mean, is Thompson a superstar? I don't know. But, you talk about the difficulties that Golden State has had against Westbrook. The same difficulties against Durant. They found defending Durant to be out of their reach. He says monster numbers. And they're getting it done on both ends, OKC. Westbrook and Durant combined for 8 steals. And Durant had 3 block shots in Game 4. That's a second straight game he's had 3 blocks. And, that's from a guy who had only 3 blocks in the entire San Antonio series.
Here's a quote from Draymond Green. You look at this quote. I've been the energy for this team. I haven't got it done the last few games. I think our energy goes as my energy goes, and I've been awful. At the end of the day, I know I've got to be better in Game 5. All or nothing. We've put too much work in to go out like this. That's a good quote. That's a tough offseason if they lose in 5 games. Look at this graphic. Last 2 games, made field goals, 2. That's 16 attempts. Turnovers, 10. Groin kicks, 1. How about Kerr? No practice. They didn't practice yesterday.
And I actually think that's a really good call for Golden State. And this is another Steve Kerr quote that's worth talking about right here. Quote, "We don't need to be on the court today. This is a day to get refreshed." I agree with that. Golden State is not a problem of we haven't been on the court enough together. Our starters haven't played enough together. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing. I think there was some physical and mental fatigue, particularly at this stage of the playoffs. And remember, this team didn't face a ton of adversity on their way to the title last year. Twice they faced 2-1 deficits. Twice they closed out the series with 3 consecutive wins and covers, mind you. And that was the extent of the adversity they faced in the postseason last year. This is real adversity. And tonight, we find out what Golden State is made of. But in terms of their mental makeup, and to be honest, Pauly, I'm with Kerr. I think their mental makeup is fine, and I think their issue with the day off, hey, get off the practice court. Get refreshed. Get ready, because you guys, it's not just one game. You guys got to win 3 in a row.
They're saying the right things. I will agree with that. Again, live odds courtesy Sportsbook Review. Go to sportsbookreview.com. One more game, baseball, Cardinals and the Nationals. It's Leak against Ross. Nationals $1.28 the total. How about a letdown here? I mean, the Cardinals just played the Cubs, their biggest rival, and the Nationals did the same against the Mets. Teddy, I know you usually like to fade the Yankees and the Red Sox after they have a tough series.
Yeah, I mean, when you have these situations where the real rivals, and they're getting after it, there are not that many of them. Yankees and Red Sox is one, and particularly as chalk, I like to bet against those teams, not only the first game after playing each other. Sometimes you look to bet against them the first game before playing each other. So this St. Louis-Chicago series, it was pretty intense. It really was. Not that the Nationals-Mets wasn't of that same intensity, but it wasn't. And when you talk about the rivalry, Cardinals-Cubs is a bigger rivalry than Nationals-Mets. It is.
Yep.
So when it comes to letdowns, I would think we're more likely to see a subpar effort from St. Louis here than we are from the home Nationals.
The Cardinal fans not happy with Leak. What do you think?
Well, I mean, he is what he is. He's opened 3-3 with a 4.07 ERA. And Cardinal fans, frankly, should probably get used to it. That's who he is. He's not an ace. He is a guy who's going to eat up innings. Look at the numbers. Leak versus the rest of baseball over the last couple of years. This is, in fact, for the last 6 years, from 2010 through 2016. Leak, his ERA is a little bit better. His fielding independent pitching is a little bit worse. His Sierra is a little bit worse. He's right about league average, but 6 straight seasons of at least 22 starts. He's never on the DL, and there's value in a guy, genuine value in a guy for St. Louis who can go every 5th day pitching around the league average. He's not going to be an ace, but he's going to eat up some innings. That's what Mike Leake is for.
And let's talk about Ross, first round pick in 2011, 3.28 ERA through 123 innings pitched, only 23 years old. No stat weaknesses. Ks, walks, ground balls, all decent. Throws a slider 36% of the time. Among the best in the majors. Still needs to work on that changeup. And the Nats get Bryce Harper back. They sat him yesterday when they were shut out at home against the Mets.
Yeah, they get Harper back, and it's worth noting St. Louis is likely to be without Matt Carpenter, their third baseman. He's on maternity leave. You look at Carpenter. Last year, he's probably their best slugger. 28 homers, 101 RBIs. So far this year, he's already hit 9 dingers with 32 RBIs. His replacement, Ruben Tejada, brings, how should we say it, very little punch to the lineup.
Up next, Deep Dive, more gambling stories, part 3, and the play of the day on SportsBIT. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on SportsBIT, play of the day coming up. Deep Dive, gambling stories, part 3, Teddy. I know we talked a little bit yesterday about one of the tougher things to do is when you're ahead, get the hell out of there at the casino. You got an interesting story.
Yeah, and this is very early in my tenure in Las Vegas, and I like telling stories about when I wasn't who I am now. I mean, now I'm an old guy. I've had more than my share of ups and downs, and we're a little bit calmer now. But I know that much of our viewing audience isn't necessarily an old guy who's a lot calmer now. You know what it's like to be in your 20s, to be in your early 30s, to be in your teens, whatever it is, when all you're thinking about is betting and gambling and betting and gambling. And this is a good story from, again, very early in my tenure in Las Vegas. So you know how it is during football season, Paul. You're thinking about the games all week. The lines come out on Sunday, and you're working Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all the way to the following weekend. Thinking about the games, getting your bets down throughout the course of the week. It's a process. It's not like, I'm one of these guys, you pick up USA Today on Saturday morning, you're like, this one. No, that's not how I work. That's not really how I've ever worked. Certainly not since I've lived in Vegas. So I spent all week handicapping the games, and I have a big Saturday. It was the day where Plaxico, I still remember it, Plaxico Burress went nuts in Ann Arbor against the Wolverines. And I'm like, Plaxico, go! And Miss Sparty was plus 10. I had him on the money line. And I had a really big day, a really big week of handicaps. So I'm walking around, I got tickets to cash, and maybe I stop and have a drink. I'm not a big drinker, Paul, but this is one of those nights. I'm in a good mood. And I have another drink, and then I have another drink.
Oh, no.
And I'm cashing some tickets, and now I got a whole wad of cash in my pocket. I got one last ticket to cash at the Barbary Coast, which is not far from where I'm living at the time. Barbary Coast, right at the corner of Flamingo and the Strip. It's gone now. It's had 6 names since then, Paul. What's it been? Wild Bill? I don't even know what it's now. Can you even know?
I think it's the Cromwell.
The Cromwell, thank you. Exactly.
The Dre's Club's in there upstairs now.
Yeah. Not a bad place to hang.
Yeah.
But convenient sports book. The sports was closed. I cashed my ticket at the cage. I'm just walking through. On my way back, I'm going to walk home, but I'm walking past the craps table, and it's the first year. And I'm like, let's just take 100 out. I'm like, just take 100 out and bet it on the don't. I'm like, there's dead in there. There's like nothing going on. It's not like it's a hopping craps table at 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. Nothing going on. I want to roll against myself. Boom. I'm like, I love rolling sevens. So what do? 7 on the come out roll. Pay everyone out. I don't get paid. I'm on the don't. 7. Boom. Another 7. Boom. 11. Boom. Another 7. I'm pulling money out of my pocket. I'm all drunk. I'm all mad. It's a freaking nightmare. It's all gone, Paul. It's all gone in like 15 minutes. A week's worth of work gone in 15 minutes of idiocy at the craps table. And that's a lesson. I beat myself up. You do. That's what you do when we've all been there. I beat myself up hard. And to this day, drinking and gambling, I got a $200 limit, man. No problem. You want to have fun? Couple of $100?
Oh, forget it.
You don't walk and cash all your frickin' winning sports bets and blow it all at the craps table. It's just stupid. That's unfortunately a lesson that a lot of people have to learn more than once. Hopefully, my story will help you not learn it more than once.
A friend of mine says, don't even bother to add it up. It's not worth the aggravation. When you sit there and you drink and you're up and then you won't leave the table or the video poker machine, don't even bother to add it up because it's going to be an astronomical figure at the end of the day. All right, money time. Tough one yesterday. The bullpens got involved and they blew up with that Yankee Blue Jays under. Today, the play of the day, betting number 954. We are taking the Nationals. We think the Cardinals will be in a flat spot coming off the big series against the Cubs, and we like Ross anti-leak here. Letdown spot for the Cardinals. Let's lay the $1.20 with the Nationals at home. Again, betting number 954. We're back Friday. Thanks for the spike in views, and we'll see if we got a Game 6 to talk about in the Western Conference Finals. We know we got Game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Coming up on SportsBIT. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.